Hi there, Kim Sneath here. If you've been waiting for the webinar to start, and the presentation is starting now. So come on back to your screens if you've been busy doing some other things while waiting. Grab a pen and paper if you want to take notes, or just sit down and listen and focus on the screen, because I've also put in here a lot of lovely visuals that I think will capture your attention. So welcome. I am the creator of Space for Grace. And as you can see, the title of this presentation is that, and it's the 5-step pathway to clear your clutter for good. It's really great to have you here with me. And now you've probably been on some webinars where there's a lot of preamble and maybe music and questions, but we're going to get you right to the good stuff without waiting. So I'm just going to dive right in because I've got some really fabulous content for you. So first of all, let's talk about who this webinar is for. Now, if you're overwhelmed and you're exhausted and you need to get out from under a life's worth of clutter now, then dial in and pay attention because we're going to cover a lot. So in the next 40 minutes or so, I want to talk about, and I'm going to show you how to turn your chaos to calm, even if that seems impossible because it's everywhere in your life. And also how to learn to begin and stick to it till it's done and gone, and how you can tackle this now and stop wasting years of struggle. And this presentation is also about how to quickly and easily get rid of your clutter in your home so it's more a place you love being and somewhere where you feel relaxed and supported. And it's how to finally have friends and family over without the shame and embarrassment of a house that's chaotic and full of stuff. And it's also how to feel pride in yourself and your home again, and how to show up in your life for your family, your career, and more importantly, for yourself. It's also how to unlearn old behaviors and patterns, breaking the clutter cycle so you don't pass it on to your children if you do have children. And finally, it's how we're going to talk about freeing yourself from the burden of clutter, even if you've saved stuff since you were a kid and have lived with it most of your life. So, here's my promise to you. On this webinar, I'm going to give you a step-by-step pathway to get rid of your clutter for good. And I know that might seem like a crazy concept right now, but I've got clients who are doing just that. And I'm going to show you the exact process they're using to make that happen now, rather than trying to chip away at it for months or years on end. But before we get into all that juicy stuff, let me check in with you just really quickly and let's see where you're at. So, does this sound like you? Do you have some days where you secretly wish a truck would just haul all your crap away because it makes you so miserable and it's negatively affecting every aspect of your life? Do you start out every morning determined not to lose your keys, show up late again, and run around like a crazy person all day, but to no avail? Do you wake up dreading the day ahead because you lack energy and drive, and so often end up in tears, exhausted again at the end of the day, and you have no idea how to break this cycle? Do you have some weeks where you look around and wonder where all this stuff came from and how you'll ever get it under control, and then worry how this constant state of stress is affecting your health? Do you ever go over to other people's homes and they're perfect, and you secretly jealously wonder, how do they manage to keep it so neat and uncluttered and beautiful? And how you shouldn't compare, but you just feel like a failure. And does the task at hand feel so overwhelming that sometimes it feels easier just to give up? And finally, do you secretly, in the back of your mind, feel scared that if it keeps going like this, you could be headed towards becoming a hoarder? Well, if any of that sounds like you, then I have good news. None of those things are the real problems. Those are just the symptoms. The real problem is you haven't made what I call the shifts. And we're going to talk about what those are in just a second. But for right now, just know that once you make them, you'll have complete control over your home, your schedule, and your life, which will help you be in command of your future happiness. You'll release the hold clutter has on you so you don't feel the attachment anymore, and instead feel free to do whatever the heck you want for a change. And you'll create a home that is full of life and love rather than stuff, so you can have better relationships because of it. And you'll easily find the things you need and be surrounded only by the stuff that brings you joy. Losing things will be a thing of the past, and saving you hours and hours of lost time and frustration. And you'll also change the habits that you have and stick to them with ease, so you can feel empowered and own your space with pride. You'll have a home that's a haven that supports you rather than drains you. You're going to feel liberated. You're going to feel like Superwoman. Now, before we go too much further, let me just take 2 seconds to introduce myself so that you know who I am and why you should listen to me. So there I am, and my name is Kim Sneath, and I'm known by my clients as the Clutter Buster. And my specialty is listening deeply to my clients' needs, but also kicking a little butt and motivating them forward. I definitely don't let them stay stuck because I keep them accountable. And I inspire my clients to haul away mountains of stuff, even when they've been struggling with challenges in their lives. So, let me take a second and tell you how I discovered the 5 shifts. Now, I've been doing this for a really long time, and I've had tons of clients. So over time, I discovered that after helping them haul away much of their stuff, they sometimes would relapse and need me back again in 6 months or a year later or continually. And I realized that, well, they didn't really make the deeper changes and the real shifts because they only got their stuff in order. That's all we spent time on. So I realized we had to coach and concentrate on the person first. And when we did, when it came time to let go of their stuff, well, they couldn't do it fast enough. And later on, they didn't want it to return. They became an organized person. And there were commonalities I noticed in those that were successful. And these I term the 5 shifts. So as a result, not only did they unblock the pathways in their homes, they unblocked their deepest desires. They not only decluttered their homes, they were empowered to be able to start to transform their lives. Does that make sense? So the bottom line is, these are the 5 key shifts you must tackle must take to tackle your clutter for good, to bring your career and your lifestyle to the next level, all the while enjoying more time and energy and freedom to do the things you love. So I'm going to walk you through all 5 of these on this session. So, first of all, shift number 1, it might surprise you to hear, but it's not about the clutter. It's not about the clutter. That is just the surface. See, clutter is the physical manifestation of everything that's going on in your life, and your home is a direct reflection of that. So we must go deeper, just like this diver in this picture. We can't just contain and label all your stuff. That's what most people think it takes to get organized. So don't get caught in that rabbit hole. And the rabbit holes, or rather the excuses and myths my clients often feel and say, are things like, and you might recognize yourself in some of these, they're things like, well, I just can't throw things away. It's wasteful. And, when we really talk about ways to get rid of stuff, that helps people let go of the clutter. I often hear this, well, I'm just not an organized person. I've never have been. And I liken this to myself saying, oh, I don't know about me and technology. It's really tough. But listen, I've learned a lot in my business, and I can tell you that tech can be taught, and so can getting organized and learning how to declutter. It all can be taught, okay? So it's not like you're missing that gene. Now, we all say this from time to time in our lives: I'm too busy. We hear this all the time in our busy, busy world. And as we know, we have the same 24 hours in the day. But on top of that, if we've allowed clutter to take over, we don't feel that way, right? Clutter just clutters our mind and our busyness and our schedules. But it's what we choose to do with that time. Now, I want to share with you this statistic, and it comes from the National Soap and Detergent Association. So I find that funny. I didn't know there was such an association, but this is really relevant to time. So, according to them, getting rid of clutter would eliminate 40% of housework in the average home. 40%! So, if you're saying I'm too busy, I mean, that keeps you locked in this cycle. And before you know it, years will spin by, and you're just spinning your wheels trying to get your house clean around all the clutter. So, leave that frustration behind. Okay, listen up. I want to share with you the last point here about it's not about the clutter. And that's what I like to call the 80% rule. Okay, so a couple stats for you. As I was first getting into business and doing a lot of research and learning, I saw these stats, and a lot of them were on 80%. So here's two. 80% of what we keep, we rarely use. 80% of papers and the information that we keep, we never use. And if you've ever executed a will, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So look around you for a second, and I want you to just imagine a wand waving 80% of that away. I mean, can you imagine how much easier it would be to clean? Can you imagine how clear your life would be, and your head and your mindset? So, and even if 80% is too hard, go with 50. So this is all different types of clutter. And it's not bettering our lives. It's causing, as you know, stress and overwhelm and a host of other problems. And these problems aren't going away. In fact, they expand just like your clutter. Your clutter is a mirror. And if you don't like the reflection, you've got to do something about it. So I'd like to relate this back to a client of mine and somebody who did do something about it, and tell you about Nancy's story. Nancy. So she had years of fearful accumulating. I mean, she loved getting anything for free and rummage sales. So her house of 12 years was packed full of what she even called a lot of junk. And she was keeping it just in case. Maybe you've said that before. Now, Nancy was nearing retirement and wanted to start it off on the right foot. But what finally motivated her to take action was that she had suffered from some asthma attacks that put her in the hospital. I mean, she had to move out of her house because of all of her dusty piles of clutter. So that's what brought her to me. And so, room after room, I helped Nancy learn that letting go of much of her stuff was actually bringing her to a better place, a place of abundance, and improving her health. So, we showed her how to let go of carloads of books, dishes, clothing, recycling bins and bins of paper, and more, so she could actually see what she had and what treasures were there. And what she had really been doing is avoiding decisions for years, till it was so overwhelming she couldn't possibly do it on her own. And this is what makes years of clutter so difficult. It's the decisions. So, after releasing loads of stuff and helping her make decisions, Nancy could breathe without wearing a face mask. She had to wear a face mask while she was going through all this. And eventually, she was able to invite her family over to celebrate her 65th birthday using her mother's china that we had unearthed, and use it at her dining table, a surface she hadn't seen in years. Now, her family was incredibly relieved because they were concerned beyond belief. I mean, they didn't know how to help. And biggest of all, Nancy could move back into her house without fear of ending back in the hospital. And she could clean her house too, or have it cleaned. Now she's ready to renovate and paint and beautify her home. She's got to that place, an exciting place. And now she's enjoying retirement, healthy and free to use only the stuff she absolutely loves and needs. All of her crafts and her experiences and her travel magazines and everything to plan her retirement. And Nancy said about her experience, Kim, you challenge me in so many supportive and creative ways. Your energy is boundless. Your gifts that you share so willingly are so appreciated. You helped me make my house into a home. So satisfying. So, let's move on to shift number 2. And this may be hard to hear for some of you, but it is let go of the past. Let go of the past. That's where so much of our clutter lies. And with Nancy, she was stuck where she was and had accumulated so much because she wasn't letting go of the past. And I've seen this with so many of the women I've worked with over the years. All right. So, as I was saying, clutter accumulates because we're avoiding decisions and we may be living in fear. Fear of forgetting loved ones who've passed on, or fear of seeing our children grow up. But it's usually a symptom, like I was just saying, of something else that we're hanging on to or scared to release. And this is why clutter can be so hard for some people. But it keeps us blocked in so many ways. And, it keeps us hanging on in this fear mindset. I mean, it's just like trying to lose weight, which can be so difficult. Let me give you an example. I'd like to bring in a quote from Peter Walsh's book, Does This Clutter Make My Butt Look Fat? And in his book, he states, quote, that if your house is a mess, chances are your eating habits are too. Makes sense. Weight issues are caused by lifestyle. Clutter, chaos, and fat are totally linked. And then he says, quote, your home is a reflection of your state of mind, as is your body. What you weigh is about how you live. Clutter invades every aspect of our lives. This is what I was just saying. So, do you see how going out and buying shelves and containers doesn't really change anything? Doesn't help you affect where you're blocked. You're just scratching the surface. Okay? So, let go of the past. Discover these symptoms of what you're hanging on to in fear, and unblock the areas in your life that you want to move forward. All right, so if you're letting go of the past, what you need to do next is embrace the future. I love this image, and now some of you might be sitting there going, oh, and fear is rising up and you're getting butterflies. But embracing the future is, I know scary to many, but can be exciting. So my definition of clutter is unmade decisions. That's what we've just been talking about here. And this is why moving towards the future can feel frightening for many, because it can feel hard to make decisions and avoidance seems easier. However, where has avoidance ever got us? Where's it getting you? Hiding from it only makes things worse. And if you're sick of the stuff and chaos now, how will you feel in 6 months from now? So I'm here to remind you that everything that's come into your home came in with your permission. And often in families or with couples, this is where the arguments happen. They say it was somebody else, and blame comes in, and disagreements over clutter keep everyone stuck because everyone looks at things differently. What somebody's clutter is junk to you is jewels and precious to them. So I want to bring in this beautiful quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer. Dr. Wayne Dyer. And quote is, never underestimate your power to change yourself, and never overestimate your power to change others. Isn't that great? So keep that in mind when you're dealing with clutter and you're living with others. So you need to decide what it's costing you and what it's worth to make changes so it doesn't continue. So when we don't embrace our future, our relationships can suffer, and your health and weight can get worse. Your energy and focus, and therefore perhaps your career or finances don't move in the direction you'd like. But if you'd like to get this right, you can stop all that from happening and start to turn things around today. So pay attention. And the way to start is to deal with your stuff now. Do something now to affect your future and to get you excited about the possibilities again. When clutter weighs us down, it's hard to dream again, and you've often forgotten your dreams. So get excited about the possibilities of your home and your life that you could have without the clutter. As I was saying, you can set some dreams and goals. So let's talk about my client Sherry, who I helped to make decisions to get unstuck by letting go of the past and embracing the future so she could reach her goals and her dreams. So, when we started to work together on her condo, Sherry was suffering through the heartbreak of a long-term relationship ending, but she wanted to invest in her space and focus her energies on something positive to help her get over that. Her career as a teacher keeps her extremely busy most of the year, and now that summer break had arrived for her, she wanted to commit the time to declutter and make over her space. Now, she had moved into her condo 4 or 5 years earlier, basically unpacked, and that was about it. I mean, in her relationship, it took her 6 months before she even invited her boyfriend over, as she mostly used her condo as a place to shower, change, and sleep. So it was time. It was time to invest in arranging her place to support her busy lifestyle, and that was a big deal for her because these changes went deep for Sherry. So I guided her on what furniture to declutter, such as the sofa, especially because when we got to coaching, I found out it really reminded her of her boyfriend. And then also, just space-wise, it was too big, and the color and size wasn't right for the direction she was going in. And she said that was initially difficult, but ultimately freeing. She attributes even this one decision over the sofa to help her to move on with her feelings and let go of that relationship once and for all. So we helped her make choices and upgrades that were more in line with her vivacious personality that she was starting to get back to. And she started to feel aligned in her home, a home that represented who she always was, but as I said, really wanted to get back to. Now, when she comes home at the end of a long day of teaching, she feels a positive, happy vibe that welcomes her in and a soothing energy throughout. All of these changes encouraged her to invite friends over again. It gave her this sanctuary in which to heal her broken heart, and it secures her future investment once she's ready to sell her condo. Sherry's moving through the loss of her boyfriend. She's begun dating again and has no more fears in eventually welcoming that perfect partner into her new home. A home that supports her busy career rather than drains her, and a home that helps her dream of her future goals of marriage. And Sherry said of her experience, "Kim, what you do inspires people in more ways than you can ever know." So let's pause for a quick recap, just for a second here, and recap what we know so far. Sound good? Okay. So first of all, we know that it's not about the clutter. It's about going deeper and getting to the real root causes of your clutter. We know that it's important to let go of the past, no matter how difficult, because it drags us down and keeps us living in fear and therefore what we want in our lives. And we know that what will get us out of this is to embrace the future so that we can get excited about the future possibilities of our dreams by dealing with our stuff now. Okay, so how do we do that? Let's look at my secret weapon to unlock these steps further. So, the secret weapon is like going for the gold. It's in reach if you know what doesn't work and what does. So let's take a look first at what doesn't work, and maybe you'll see some of the things you've been doing or attempting that aren't as effective as you had hoped, so that you can get rid of your clutter for good. So let's quickly talk about the old way of doing this. Maybe you'll recognize some of these things. So the old way of getting organized is you get books on organizing and maybe feng shui. You get a cleaning service in and they try to clean around all your clutter. You might invest thousands of dollars on a professional organizer and their team to come in, and they build up shelves and buy bins and label all your stuff. I mean, even if you have the space for all that, and if you don't, you go out and spend hundreds of dollars a month on a storage unit and eventually forget about all that stuff you moved in there and feel overwhelmed thinking about even going there. You probably end up buying some of it again because you forgot what's in the storage locker, spending even more money, and that's probably happening at your house already. So you try to recover some of those funds with a yard sale, which takes up a lot of your time and energy, things that you are already in short supply of right now. Does this make sense? Doesn't this sound like a lot of busy work? The problem with this is it doesn't get you very far, and it doesn't link you to deeper issues or to your dream goals. So that's likely why many of you have been stuck for years. So what do? Well, let's look at the new way. The new way when getting organized is to go within and set your intention first. It's all about mindset, and getting that solid before you begin is crucial. It's a step that none of my clients had ever done in trying to tackle their clutter. It's kind of like baking a cake. If you've never baked a cake before and you get out of step with the recipe, it's not going to rise. It's not going to taste good. So step by step, we start with this intention first. And then you can start to release without fear and deal with what's left because you know your intention, you know where you're going. From there, you arrange and align not only your stuff, but what you want in your life because you have finally unblocked the energy of the clutter that once dragged you down. So you see, you don't need books, a professional organizing team, or a yard sale. You need a fast, easy, guided pathway to get you there and get it done. It can be much simpler than what you've been trying to do. So the new way helps you get rid of clutter efficiently in a concentrated amount of time while keeping you motivated and accountable. That's key. So let's go to shift 5 and talk about how this plays out. So it is to invest in mentoring. Invest in mentoring. I know from experience how hard it can be to do that on your own. You know, the wasted time, the confusing searches for just the right solution, the frustration and feeling like you're the only one dealing with these problems. It can be so debilitating. So everyone should have a mentor, an expert in this area that you struggle with. I mean, people in business do it all the time. And people who are high-performing athletes and stars and actors and so on. They don't do that alone. They don't reach those heights. Because mentoring brings about 3 things. New ideas, a structured approach, rather than shifting piles around your house and wasting time, a structured approach, and accountability. And we need all 3 of these things to really transform. I mean, there are new ideas in your head right now, probably watching this, that wouldn't have been there if you didn't take time for this presentation. So with coaching and mentoring, you learn how to set your mindset so it positively affects your actions and gets you the outcomes you so desire. So the key in those phrases are mindset, actions, outcomes. Mindset, actions, outcomes. So like I mentioned, I do know from experience the wasted opportunities. And I want to tell you a little bit of my personal story. And I'll show you my vision board there that I had at one time. So the wasted opportunities, the relationships and income that I didn't make because I was stuck for many years. And the costs of this, both emotionally and financially and so on, were huge. But I finally got sick of that, and I invested in a fantastic coach who helped me in a short period of time achieve the goals that had seemed out of my reach and out of my grasp for years. For example, I created this vision board for love, and it was about 1 or 2 years before I hired my coach. I don't really remember when. And I had to answer a questionnaire and really go deep. And within 6 weeks of working with her, not even like in the questionnaire, I had talked about 6 to 8 months, I hope to reach these goals. Within 6 weeks of working with her, I met and fell in love with the love of my life. And literally, all this stuff on the vision board came to life. I'll tell you, I was shocked when I looked at it again because I had wanted it for so long. And not only that, not only just this, but other things that I was scared of, things like finally moving out of the city that I wasn't so happy in and making more money, doing what I love rather than running around stressed, trying to make ends meet, doing all sorts of things. And all that came to pass after working with my coach. Oh, I wished I had done it years before. So this is what I'm saying. Find the best mentor out there and spend what it takes to work with them. Because all those wasted years, my God, it was well worth investing for a short period of time. Does that make sense? So today I promised a step-by-step pathway to clear your clutter for good. And I also talked about how to turn your chaos to calm, even if that seems impossible because it's everywhere in your life. How to learn to begin and stick to it till it's done and gone. How to quickly and easily get rid of your clutter so your home is a place you love being and somewhere where you feel relaxed and supported. And it's how to finally have friends and family over without the shame and embarrassment of a house that's chaotic and full of stuff. Today, we talked about how to feel pride in yourself and your home and how to show up in your life for your family and your career, and more importantly, for yourself. It's also how to unlearn old behaviors and patterns, breaking that clutter cycle so you don't pass it on to your children if you do have kids. And how to free yourself from the burden of clutter, even if you've saved stuff since you were a kid and grew up in that environment and have lived with it most of your life. So, I just want to sum up quickly here what you need to win. And that is knowing that it's not about the clutter. It is to let go of the past so that you can embrace the future. And then we talked about my secret weapon, the old versus the new way, and investing in mentoring. These 5 shifts alone are enough to propel you to a clutter-free lifestyle that you desire and deserve. So, now you have a choice. You can take the info I've given you and forget about it. You can turn off your computer, not look at your notes again if you made notes. You can go back to keeping on struggling with your family or if you're alone and feeling exhausted day after day and your stuff continuing to accumulate and weigh you down. You can go back to ignoring the piles and piles of paper and clothes and things everywhere and overwhelmed and unhappy, staying on that hamster wheel, forever without little hope of escape. So you can choose that. Or if you're done with all that crap and you want to get rid of it once and for all, just like I had shown you in my personal story, I was done with that lonely life. And if you're done with all of that for now, for once and for all, you can take control of your life and learn to love living more with less, unlocking your full potential so that you can live in your home in peace and stop the chaos from totally taking over. And if you're ready to finally move towards change and take action, and if you want to gain back more hours in your week, then here's what I have for you. Even if that makes you a little bit nervous, here's what I have for you. I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours, in the next 2 days or so, to speak with you personally, one-on-one, about how you can apply these ideas to the clutter surrounding you today. So whatever your biggest challenges are, I can guarantee you I've seen it all before and I know how to overcome them. I'm here to help you get unstuck so you don't stay where you are for months and years to come. It's time to break that cycle, isn't it? So on this phone session, I'll walk you through my plan to get rid of your clutter, save you time, and achieve your dreams. And that's whether you live in a 1-bedroom condo on your own or a 4-bedroom house with 3 kids, pets, and a spouse, and more. The cost? It's absolutely free. But listen up, especially if you walked away from the screen here. There's a catch. This phone call is not for everyone. Okay? This phone call is not for everyone, so pay attention. Here's who this is for. You struggle with a lot of clutter and you have no idea where to start or how to change this. You must be ready to dedicate time and effort to tackling it and to be open and coachable. And you must be resourceful and committed. Okay, so take a second and take that in. You struggle. You're ready to dedicate some time. You're coachable, resourceful, committed. And I'll tell you, if that's you, then book a session now. Why wait anymore? Well, maybe some of you are wondering why I'm offering my time like this. And as I said earlier, this is my passion. And it's because I love giving back and helping women transform. And I truly believe that letting go of the clutter opens us up to greater happiness and fulfillment and success in all areas of our lives. Plus, I know that you might want my help to transform your home and your life. And if so, we can discuss it and see if it's a good fit for us both. If not, that's fine too. Either way, I promise it'll be a good use of our time together. So if this is a priority for you and you're sick and tired of how all the clutter is negatively affecting your life and you want to find out what you can do about it, then sign up for my free one-on-one breakthrough session. And this is how. So if you want to book your call with me, go to the link here that is kimsneath.com/apply. Now, spaces are very limited. So sign up now. And if you're on desktop, you will see a little orange sign up now button on the right off the screen. Just click that, super easy. And if you're on mobile, don't worry. Just copy the link or do a screenshot or write it out. I'm going to have this up here for a bit. And so I'll tell you what happens here too. When you click on this link, you'll be taken to our calendar page and you'll see all of our available appointment times. Just grab what works for you and it's easy, whether you're on desktop or mobile. And after that, you'll be taken to a short form. It's just a couple of questions. Fill that in quickly and we'll receive that and get on the call with you at your scheduled time. And I'll tell you, it's going to be the best 45 minutes or more you've ever spent working on yourself and your clutter and your home. So here's I'm going to say the link here a couple times. It is KIM as in Mary, SN as in Nancy, EATH, that's my name, .com/apply. So kimsneath.com/apply. Spaces are limited. Sign up now. I'll tell you, it's been fantastic spending this time with you. So go to that link, kimsneath.com/apply, and book your session right now, and we'll talk to you very soon.